Welcome everybody. So in this video I'll be discussing about glycogen storage disorder. I'll be discussing you 10 types of glycogen storage disorder and we'll be starting with type 0. Type 0, type 1, type 2, type 3. We have so many types of glycogen storage disorder to discuss, so I'll be discussing all of them one by one. Then you have to note it in this fashion. They have specific names with them, so I'll be telling you a mnemonic to remember them in sequential order. Then we have type 7, and after this type 7 we have type 8, 9 and 10, which don't have any specific name. These are disorders which are because of regulatory enzymes problem which are needed for glycogen metabolism, and they don't have any specific name. But type 1 to type 7 they have some specific name. Even type 0 is having no specific name. Type 0 is due to deficiency of glycogen synthase enzyme. Deficiency of glycogen synthase enzyme, which doesn't allow the glycogen to be formed in the liver. So I'll be talking to you about clinical features of type 0 and various other types shortly. But before that, you remember the names of these various types of glycogen storage disorder. Then I'll be discussing them one by one. Type 1 is called Von-Gerke disease. Type 2 is Pompe disease, Cori disease, which has got few other names like Forbes disease or limit dextrinosis. Limit dextrinosis. Then we have type 4, which is Anderson's disease. Anderson's disease. Type 5 is McArdle disease. Type 6 is Hirsch disease. And type 7 is Torrey disease. Torrey disease. So this is the various names of these glycogen storage disorder from type 1 to type 7. I said 8, 9, 10, they do not have any specific name. Type 0 also is not having any specific name. Now let's discuss them one by one, starting with type 0. Type 0 is due to lack of deficiency of glycogen synthase enzyme in liver. So of course in liver the glycogen synthesis doesn't take place, and at the time of need when the glucose is required in the blood, the glycogen is not there in the liver. So this results in hypoglycemia, ketosis and early death. Survival is not long, early death. When I come to type 1, we have two subtypes A and B. A is the Von-Gerke disease and B is having no specific name, but presentation is same as, clinical feature is same as 1A or Von-Gerke disease. The etiopathogenesis is different in these two subtypes, but the clinical presentation is same. The Von-Gerke disease is due to lack of glucose 6-phosphatase enzyme, which is the terminal enzyme not only for glycogenolysis but also the gluconeogenesis. So in deficiency of this enzyme there is severe hypoglycemia because both the pathways are getting affected. So baby is presenting with liver enlargement because the glycogen is not breaking down properly. So hepatomegaly, severe hypoglycemia, ketosis, See, in severe hypoglycemia, the free fatty acid mobilization will be more. The excessive beta oxidation of free fatty acid will result in ketosis. Uric acid level and lactic acid level also will be high in the blood. This is due to excessive consumption of glucose 6-phosphate in the liver itself, in HMP shunt pathway and in glycolysis respectively. So this will be the presentation in glucose 6-phosphatase deficiency, which is called Vaughan-Gerke disease. And in type 1b, the glucose 6-phosphatase enzyme is normal, but there is deficiency of translocase enzyme, which is transporter at endoplasmic reticulum membrane. Like if you see, this is the cell and this is the endoplasmic reticulum membrane. You must know that glucose 6-phosphate need to go to the ER lumen, because the enzyme which acts on this glucose 6-phosphate, that is glucose 6-phosphatase enzyme, is lying in the ER lumen only. Now, to transport this glucose 6-phosphate in the lumen of ER, we have a transporter called GLUT7, or otherwise called glucose 6-phosphate translocase. This is also called GLUT7. This is required. So in mutation of this enzyme, the glucose 6-phosphate is not reaching the ER lumen, and that results in same consequence, that is severe hypoglycemia, hepatomegaly, ketosis, hyperuricemia, lactic acidosis. So type 1b, the clinical presentation of the baby is exactly same as that of 1e, but the underlying defect is different. It's a endoplasmic reticulum membrane transporter, which is called GLUT7 or glucose 6-phosphate translocase, which is deficient. Coming to type 2. Type 2 is Pompe disease, and this is due to lysosomal enzyme deficiency. And lysosomal enzyme, which is named as acid maltase, is deficient. Acid maltase is the enzyme which cuts 1,4 and alpha-1,6 glycosidic bonds of incompletely formed glycogen or incompletely broken glycogen and convert it to monomeric form. So this lysosomal enzyme is deficient. Hence, in the lysosome, we tend to have accumulation of abnormal glycogen, and that tend to destroy the cell. Glycogen is abnormally accumulated in the lysosome. Pompe disease is the only glycogen storage disorder which is lysosomal storage disorder. All other glycogen storage disorder are not lysosomal storage disorder, where the accumulation is not in the lysosome. Now in this Pompe disease, you must understand liver is spared, but the skeletal muscle and the heart muscle is involved, resulting in the features like cardiomyopathy and heart failure and muscle dystrophy. So that is Pompe disease. Coming to type 3, which is Cori disease. This is overview. This video is talking to you about overview of glycogen metabolism. So I am not detailing any specific disease in detail. If you want the specific disease to be dealt in detail, you can always inbox me, comment box you can write. I will then make a separate video on that particular disease. Will explain you in detail. So now coming to Cori disease. You remember C4D, the Cori disease, you have deficiency of debranching enzyme. Debranching enzyme deficiency, and you know the debranching enzyme is important for glycogenolysis. So what happens in Cori disease, the glycogenolysis is not taking place properly. The phosphorylase is acting, but debranching is not acting properly. So hence there is accumulation of a polymer which is called limit dextrin, which is having the glucose residue in slight branched manner like this. So because debranching is deficient, so the polymer which is accumulated is of this sort, where the 1,6 bond is seen to be intact. So this is called limit dextrinosis, and in this we have subtypes A and B. In A and liver and muscle both are involved, and in B only liver is involved, right? Muscle is spared. So we have two subtypes depending upon where this debranching enzyme is deficient, whether it is liver alone or liver and muscle both. Now you remember C4D, so in Cori disease, which is otherwise called FOBS or limit dextrinosis, we have deficiency of debranching enzyme, and the presentation will be, if the liver is involved, then hypoglycemic features, hepatomegaly, and if muscle is also involved, then the exercise intolerance will be the feature. But in Cori disease, you must understand that hypoglycemia, though present, it is not the early hypoglycemia. It's a delayed hypoglycemia because phosphorylase action is normal, and that is like going to act on peripheral units and release the glucose residues. So early phase, the hypoglycemia is well managed by release of glucose by phosphorylase action. But if the fasting is prolonged, then the baby tend to have the hypoglycemic episodes. Now coming to type 4, Anderson's disease, which is otherwise called amylopectinosis. Amylopectinosis. Remember A for E and A for B. The deficiency of branching enzyme is the cause behind it. Branching enzyme deficiency, and in this only liver is involved, muscle is spared. Branching enzyme is deficient. Of course, the synthetic pathway is affected. The synthase acts, but branching doesn't act. So that results in making of a polymer which is having the less number of branching. See, the branching enzyme is not absolutely absent, it's only deficient. So branching will be there, but there will be less in number. So this is called amylopectin. This kind of material which is then formed is called amylopectin, and the accumulation of amylopectin in the cell will result in amylopectinosis. And obviously the normal glycogen structure is affected, so the glycogen metabolism will not be that normal, and early tiredness during exercise and mild hypoglycemia will be the presenting feature. And if this kind of material is accumulated, that can be seen in liver biopsy, where the glycogen with less number of branching is seen to be present. Type 5 is McArdle disease. Type 5 is McArdle disease. McArdle disease is due to M for M, myophosphorylase deficiency. Myo means muscle, phosphorylase means rate limiting enzyme of glycogenolysis. Phosphorylase deficiency, myophosphorylase deficiency. So this phosphorylase enzyme, as you understand, causes the glycogenolysis. And peripheral residues are being released. So in the muscle, if glycogen breakdown is affected, it results in exercise intolerance. So the clinical presentation in this baby or child is going to be exercise intolerance. The baby is not able to exercise, and you have abnormal accumulation of glycogen in the muscle. Generally, the muscle glycogen is less than 1%. To be specific, it is 0.7%. But in McArdle disease, excessive accumulation of glycogen is seen to the extent of more than 4% of glycogen. And this is McArdle disease, where the main presenting feature will be the exercise intolerance, easy tiredness while playing, and the low lactate level in the blood after forceful exercise is one characteristic finding, because when there is no glycogenolysis, there is no glucose 6-phosphate available for glycolysis. So hence no lactate production is seen. Generally, in a normal child after exercise, normal person after exercise, the lactate level tend to increase in the blood. But in this person, the lactate level is going to be low. This is type 5 McArdle disease. Now coming to type 6, which is Hirsch disease. Hirsch disease, H for H, is hepatic phosphorylase deficiency. So in this disease, hepatic enzyme is deficient. Hepatic glycogenolytic enzyme is deficient, that is hepatic phosphorylase. And of course, this results in no proper breakdown of glycogen and results in hypoglycemia. Early hypoglycemia is the feature, but death is not seen. Its prognosis is good in this patient, and it's only liver involvement, hepatomegaly, will be seen because of excessive glycogen storage, which is not ready to break down easily. When I talk to you about type 7, it's a very specific disease, because this is the only disease which is because of Tori disease it is called. This is called glycogen storage disorder, but you will be surprised to know that there is deficiency of PFK1, which is glycolytic enzyme, and this glycolytic enzyme is deficient in skeletal muscle and RBC, And you may ask logically, you may ask this: if glycolytic enzyme is deficient, then why there is storage of glycogen? Why does glycogen storage disorder? The answer is very simple. See, if PFK1 is deficient, the skeletal muscle is always going to have the stock of glucose 6-phosphate, because glycolysis is not taking place normally, and this glucose 6-phosphate is the inhibitor of glycogen phosphorylase enzyme, allosteric inhibitor of glycogen phosphorylase enzyme. So what happens that in a skeletal muscle, the available glucose 6-phosphate is all time available. So this glucose 6-phosphate tend to inhibit glycogen phosphorylase and doesn't allow the glycogenolysis to go on, and this results in accumulation of glycogen in the skeletal muscle. Hence it is called storage disorder. And in RBC, if PFK1 is deficient, then of course the glycolysis will not be taking place normally and ATP generation will be affected. See, ATP is very much required in the RBC to maintain the membrane. So this lack of proper glycolysis in RBC results in hemolysis, because the membrane is not maintained. Membrane needs sodium potassium ATPase, for maintaining the membrane ionic gradient. So, and that sodium potassium ATPase require ATP. So if there is no glycolysis in RBC, sodium potassium ATPase cannot function, and there will be ionic imbalance that will result in bursting of RBC, and that is hemolysis. So this is the only glycogen storage disorder which is associated with hemolysis. Coming to type 8, 9, 10, as I have told you, they are due to deficiency of regulatory enzymes, and I'll enumerate them here. They don't have any specific name attached with them. So type 8 is due to phosphorylase kinase deficiency of phosphorylase kinase enzyme. And if you see my phosphorylase kinase other video, which I'll be making shortly on glycogen synthesis and breakdown, there you'll see that regulatory enzyme phospholase needs the phosphorylation by phosphorylase kinase, which makes it active. So if this deficiency is there, then of course the phosphorylase will not be active and glycogenolysis will not be taking place. And in type 8, it is the only liver which is involved. Muscle is spared. So this deficiency of phosphorylase kinase is there only in the liver. If the same deficiency lie in liver and muscle both, if both the organs are affected in this deficiency, then what happens? The glycogenolysis in liver as well as muscle will be affected, and liver glycogenolysis affected means the problem of hypoglycemia, hepatomegaly, ketosis, and muscle glycogen phosphorylase or any breakdown enzyme, glycogenolytic enzyme getting affected in muscle, it will result in exercise intolerance and excessive accumulation of glycogen in the muscle. So 8 and 9, we have same problem, the same enzyme deficiency, but if liver is alone involved, it is type 8, and if muscle is also involved, it becomes type 9. Now coming to type 10. Type 10 is the disease which is described due to deficiency of cyclic AMP dependent protein kinase enzyme. Cyclic AMP dependent protein kinase enzyme is deficient, and this particular enzyme, you will see in my other video that this particular enzyme is important in both glycogenesis and glycogenolysis for affecting the rate limiting enzyme glycogen synthase and glycogen phosphorylase respectively. So in both the pathways this enzyme play a role, and it does something with the rate limiting enzyme. And CAM dependent protein kinase, as name implies, this results in phosphorylation of enzyme. So in glycogenesis, the glycogen synthase is phosphorylated and is inactivated, and in glycogenolysis the phosphorylase is phosphorylated indirectly, though phosphorylated and getting activated, so glycogenolysis runs. So what happens, the normal function of cyclic AMP dependent protein kinase, if you see, it prevents the glycogenesis and enhances the glycogenolysis. So if this enzyme is deficient, then what will happen? Then opposite effect will be seen. The glycogenesis will be taking place and glycogenolysis will not be taking place, and this will result in accumulation of glycogen, and hence it is also a glycogen storage disorder. So again, in brief, I repeat the CAM dependent protein kinase enzyme. This CAM dependent protein kinase enzyme phosphorylates glycogen synthase and inactivates it. So when this is deficient, glycogen synthase is very well active and glycogenesis takes place. And on the other hand, the cyclic AMP dependent protein kinase enzyme phosphorylates phosphorylase enzyme and activates it. So in deficiency of cyclic AMP dependent protein kinase enzyme, the phosphorylase is not phosphorylated, not activated, and hence glycogenolysis is not taking place. So you see the balance. The glycogenesis is taking place, but genolysis is not taking place, and hence type 10 is again a glycogen storage disorder. Again, in this particular disorder, the liver is affected because CAM dependent protein kinase action mainly we see in liver. So liver is a predominant organ which is affected in this type 10 disorder. So thank you very much. So this in brief is type 10 types of glycogen storage disorder. I have just given you the overview. For further such videos, you can subscribe my channel, and you can put in comment box which particular glycogen storage disorder you want me to discuss in detail with proper clinical presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you.